Mike, good to see you.
Great to be here, guys. Nice to see you, too.
Now, what do you take away from a day like this? Are you walking around, peering at some of the events going on?
I am. I'm kind of soaking it all in. This is my first combine. I've been in the amateur scouting part of the business for a very long time, but, the combine only started last year. This is a very new event for our industry. I think it's a big development for the baseball industry to now have a combine, and it's only going to grow going forward. So I'm kind of getting a feel for it, but we have a number of scouts out here. We're obviously evaluating a bunch of players that are out here playing on the field, but there are a lot of in-person meetings going on, and then there's a huge medical and strength and conditioning component to this that is maybe the biggest value add for us right now as this thing grows. So it's fun for me to see it in person, and always great to be in San Diego, that's for sure.
You're not getting any sleep nowadays. Look, you got the #1 pick, so you probably haven't slept for a year as you get ready for this. How do you get ready for the #1 pick?
It's a lot of pressure, and honestly, it's a lot harder than I think people could imagine. I've been a part of a lot of them, dating back to our years with the Astros, and you don't have a crystal ball, and it's never as easy. As good as the players are, you've got to look at different alternatives and kind of think about best case scenarios and worst case scenarios, and it's always a tough decision. But overall, if your process is sound, you tend to do pretty well, and I'm very excited about the group of players that we have available to us here with that pick. I think we're down to about 5 or 6 players, and we like them.
I know Dan's got something, but you got the #1 pick. How close does it come down to that last? The clock is ticking. You got the clock. You're on. Has it ever come down to like, okay, this is our guy down? Is it that close, or do you know the day going in?
We tend to make the decision the day of. Honestly, we wait as late as possible. Part of that is procrastination, but also there's a whole gamesmanship aspect to the draft, to the baseball draft, and you just wait for as much info as you can possibly get. Sometimes that comes in really late, just with the way that the business is run sometimes and the communication from the advisor's side, and it tends to be the day of and very late the day of, but for me that's part of the excitement and the suspense.
I've been dying to ask you this. It's the first time I've had a chance to do this. You talked about process, and it seemed to you're an organization that certainly relies on, I call them instinctive intelligence and intellectual intelligence. Certainly rely on the instinctive intelligence group of scouts being able to watch games. But I also feel like you're an organization that really lends itself to be able to really look at the data and the numbers behind trying to create profiles of the players that you like, that you want to be Orioles, that fit the model and the process you are looking for. Can you walk us through that a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. Going back, I started my career with the Cardinals and the Astros and the Orioles, and we've always had a tradition of balancing those two areas. The analytics side has just grown and grown and grown in the last 15 years, so that's increasingly more of a component, and we invest in a lot of talent and sort of heavy artillery in the front office when it comes to analytics. But the core of our evaluation always comes down to having a feel for evaluating baseball players, and you do that by understanding how the scouting business has worked for 50, 60, 70 years now. And we've got scouts here now evaluating these kids, these high school players, looking at defense and their physical projection, and we try to be as systematic as possible with taking that info, tying it into whatever performance type info we get, especially on the college players, and coming up with a systematic way of balancing all the different opinions that we get in our draft room. And so really to use analytics in the draft isn't just to look at numbers and stats. It's how are we going to go about combining all this process and making a decision, so it's not just me kind of listening to the loudest voice in the room or shooting from the hip. So we have something to anchor to, and we tailor that every year.
A young player is the foundation of any good organization, and this is, I guess, a celebratory week for the Orioles. Adley Rutschman with his first big league homer. But what I found more interesting was Heston Kjerstad, as you see Adley hitting the home run. Kjerstad played his first minor league baseball game this past week. He was the second overall pick in 2020. To see him come back in the field, he's playing well through 4 games. That's a big deal to your organization.
It is. It's so nice for him, too. I mean, this kid is so tough. We took him second overall in the 2020 draft, the COVID year draft, and he hasn't been able to play pro ball. He's had a lot of tough health stuff. He had a myocarditis, a heart inflammation come up. Took a lot of time. He had to sit out quite a bit of time, not really able to do anything for a very long period of time. And to see him back out on the field, we knew he was a natural hitter, so we're not surprised that he kind of got right back into having good at bats. But it's really good to see him out there playing official minor league games now, and he's already racking up hits, and that's a big shot in the arm for our farm system if we can get him rolling like we know he's capable of.
Good to see you, Mike. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate it.